Hello there, and welcome to today's session of Every Mark Matters with Mr. McDonald. Today we are having a look at Edexcel History Paper 2, Anglo-Saxon and Norman England. We have got an absolutely lovely Explain Why question. Explain Whys are really easy to get full marks on, and what we're going to do today. So our question of the day is explain why William ordered the creation of the Domesday Book I've not written it down, but that's in 1087. And that is a 12-mark question. So again, what we always do is going to break up the components of this question. So the first component, the first element, is the command phrase. And that, in this instance, is your explain why. What that means is you must present 3 reasons and explain them. Right, the second element is the focus. So the focus of our question here is the creation of the Domesday Book. Alright, so what we need to do now is we need to think about what is relevant for this type of question. Alright, so take 10 seconds right now, just write down the word focus and annotate what do you know about why William created the Domesday Book. Alright, 10 seconds, press pause, I'll see you shortly. Welcome back. Okay, so hopefully you've done that. You've used your own knowledge there to annotate what you know about the creation of the Domesday Book. So allow me to do the same. So firstly, I'm just going to focus on the what. Alright, so obviously what is it? Well, it's a massive survey, isn't it? Of what people owned. And how much money they had. It was created in 1087, as I've already said. Alright, so, I mean, that's probably really, really important to highlight. That's the end of his reign. Okay, right, so let's go back to thinking about, well, why did he do it? So, remember, the way that we look at this is all about, by this point, he is already in control of the country. He is now maintaining his control over the country. And what I think the Domesday Book, what it does is it consolidates his power. And what I mean by that is everyone knows he's king, but he also now knows what everyone has and what everyone owns. Alright? I think another reason why he does it is I think his taxes. If you're in the north and you're going to pay high taxes, considering the fact that he's just burnt down most of the north, and he's asking you to pay taxes that you can't afford, well, you're just going to rebel again. So what he's going to do is he needs to know how much he can tax people. And the reason why he needs to know that is because it ensures loyalty. And I think my final reason would really just be threats from outside the country and within. So I'm just going to refer to Danish invasion. There isn't another Danish invasion after 1075, but he always sort of suspects that one's going to happen because obviously you still have that element from 1066 that he's a little worried about the Vikings coming back over and reclaiming England as what they perceive to be theirs. But obviously we do have loads of Danish invasions during this period. So remember, the Danes help out with Edgar in 1069. They help out in Hereward in 1071, and they help the 3 revolting earls in 1075. So the Danes are big, a prominent part of our story, and I think the Domesday Book allows him to find out, well, if they come, what issues or what resources do I have to sort of fight against them. Okay, so we've done the command phrase, we've done the focus. Our final one is second order concepts. And with this question, it is causation. Now, you don't necessarily need to know, you don't need to memorize a full list of second order concepts. The second order concept is, in essence, it's the disciplinary history. It's like the hardcore history, as in what are you actually applying your knowledge for. All right? And remember, causation, that's how did one thing lead to something else. So in this instance, you might be using phrases such as this led to, as a result. How did taxes lead to the creation of the Doomsday Book? That's what you're looking for with causation. All right? And then finally so if we've broken it all up, let's just have a quick look at the mark scheme and how much we're going to have to write. So firstly, just a reminder, it's 12 marks. So that means you're going to do 50, you're going to spend 15 minutes and you're going to write down 3 paragraphs. Let me talk you through the mark scheme just before we go on. So with this particular question, I've not got a green pen, so I'm going to do this in pink. So this particular question is marked in AO1 and AO2. That is knowledge. AO2 is explanation. All we care about is level 3 and level 4. So a polite reminder, the levels are the quality of your answer, it's not a grade. And it's not always as easy to say, well, if you're constantly getting level 3 all the way through, that you're going to get a grade, whatever. Because sometimes it doesn't work out like that way. But generally speaking, if you're consistently getting level 3 or level 4, that's the right ballpark we want to be in. But let's just break down the mark scheme of what we would be after for a level 3, level 4, right? So firstly, what I need from you is I need 2 facts per paragraph. Okay? That's for level 3. For level 4, you need 2 precise facts per para. In terms of your explanation, for level 3, what we need to do is we simply need to do probably 2 sentences of explanation. That can be, if you want it to be, that can be why and why, or that could be how and why, or that could be so what and why, whichever works. But more importantly, what we're actually going for, we're going for level 4, and that in this question is how, why, so what. So if I'm doing a reason about taxes, how did taxes lead to the creation of the Doomsday Book? Why did taxes lead to the creation of the Doomsday Book? So what? What is special about taxes? Why is, maybe you could use the phrase, this would be important because, or taxes are important because. Why is that reason important, or why is that reason significant in the creation of the Doomsday Book? How, why, so what? Alright, that's really challenging stuff, but if you nail this skill all the way through, you are absolutely knocking on the door for level 4 for this question. There's 3 of these across all 3 papers. We've got level 4s in the bag here. So, ladies and gents, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to suggest that you pause the video. You set yourself 15 minutes to have a go at explaining why William ordered the creation of the Doomsday Book. That's a 12-mark question. That's 15 minutes. That's 3 paragraphs. Press pause and I'll see you shortly. Okay, welcome back. Right, so I'm hoping there that you spent 15 minutes doing 3 paragraphs explaining why William ordered the creation of the Doomsday Book. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read through my model answer now, and just because I'm very conscious of my handwriting, I'm going to read it out to you, and as I do it, I'm going to be looking for our mark scheme here of looking at two precise facts per paragraph, how, why, so what, dead easy, let's have a go. One reason why William ordered the creation of the Doomsday Book was to consolidate his control over the Anglo-Saxons. So this here, that's your AO2. So all I've done is I've just presented the reason. For example, between 1066 and 1087, there were numerous rebellions against William, leading to huge changes in land ownership. Additionally, the creation of the feudal system in 1067 meant that land ownership had tremendously changed, and the relationship between landowners and the king changed itself. So there, what you can see is I have got one fact in this paragraph, and I've got a second fact in this paragraph as well. On top of that is I probably maybe should have named some of these rebellions, but it's not the end of the world. But I've got some precise facts, so I'm going to put AO1 plus and AO1 plus. So there's my two facts there. Right, let's have a look at my how, why, so what. This led to the creation of the Domesday Book, as it formally recorded who owned what and how much people owned. As a result, land disputes between Norman earls and the Anglo-Saxon tenants were over, which would help William consolidate his power and maintain control over the country. The Domesday Book would help consolidate his power and maintain control of the country, as it provided him with a physical record of possible threats, but the transparent act of his surveyors going from house to house demonstrated to the Anglo-Saxons who had supreme power in Norman England. Obviously William. So what you will see there is my how. So I've said here, this led to how did consolidation of power help create the Domesday Book? Well, it gave him a formal record. Why did it give it? Why did he need to create the Domesday Book? Well, he needs to end land disputes, as I've written here. So what? What's special about this reason for creating the Domesday Book? Well, what it does is the transparency. It shows to everyone in the country who is king and who's the most powerful person. And he can find out, as I've said, he can find possible threats. So there's my how, there's my why, and there's quite a lengthy so what. Doesn't have to be lengthy though. Okay, let's have a look at my second paragraph. Another reason why William ordered the creation of the Domesday Book was taxes. From my own knowledge, I know that that as part of the feudal system, all tenants-in-chief paid taxes to William, but William needed to ensure loyalty, and his taxes would need to reflect this. So as I said, I mentioned this earlier on. If an earl is paying really high taxes, then and you can't afford it, you're going to rebel, aren't you? So he needs to make sure, as I've written, that his taxes need to reflect the loyalty that they've given them. So again, here's my reason, and I've got my first fact there. Additionally, much of this land would be wealthier than others, particularly after the harrying of the North. I know that Wakefield is recorded as worth £60 in 1066 to £16 in 1087. Right, so there's my precise fact, and there's another fact there, and what I did have another one. I mentioned about the harrying of the North. So you could see there, two facts in this paragraph, yet again, and loads of precise knowledge. £60 in 1066 and 16 in 1087. Harrying of the North, referring to the loyalty and taxes and so on, right? So here is my two facts again. So AO1, there's my AO1, sorry. Right, let's have a look at my how, why, so what. The Domesday Book would provide him with a clear record of wealth and how much he could possibly tax from landowners in the feudal system. So there's the start of my how. So how would it help him create taxes or decide how much he's going to tax? Well, it provide him with a clear record of wealth. This would be important because it would allow him to demand different taxes from different areas depending on the wealth. As a result, the Domesday Book would help him maintain control of the Anglo-Saxons, as the financial knowledge provides him with the means that he can ask for taxes that ensure loyalty. High taxes would create the environment for rebellion. So again, you can see there's my so what, and there is my why. So all I've done there is I've presented taxes, I've got two facts about it. I've said, how did taxes lead to the creation of the Domesday Book? Why would taxes lead to the creation of the Domesday Book? So what is special about taxes? Alright, and then finally, my final paragraph. A final reason why William created the Domesday Book was because of the threat of Danish invasion. I know that throughout William's reign, Danes were a constant threat to him and supported Anglo-Saxon rebellions led by Edgar Etheling in 1069, Hereward the Wake's rebellion, and participated in the revolt of Norman earls. So you can already see what I've done here. So again, I've presented the reason. There's my AO2. what I've done here is I've got loads of precise facts. I've not even finished reading my knowledge. I also know that geld taxes were often raised by Anglo-Saxon kings to pay off Viking invasions. So again, there's my second fact. There. So loads of knowledge within this answer. This led to, I mentioned that earlier on, it's a great phrase for causation. This led to the creation of the Doomsday Book, as it records the resources that he had at his disposal. As a result, now the why, William could easily make informed decisions about how much food, animals and soldiers he could use if the Danes invaded. So what? This would help him maintain control over the country, as it allows him to make necessary preparations if he is faced with the threat of invasion or rebellion after 1087. So again, you have seen it. There's my how. Quite brief, this paragraph, you can tell I was running out of time. Why and so what? So if I go straight back to my mark scheme now, I have a little look here. Have I got two precise facts in every paragraph? Yes, I have. Have I got my how, why, so what in every paragraph? Absolutely. So for my AO1, my knowledge, I'm going to say I am level 4. For my explanation, I am level 4 as well. That puts us at a quite lovely 12 out of 12 for that answer. Take the time now to self-assess your own answer. I can't wait to read it in class. See you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.